Welcome to Moaning Zombie, Love from Mary Kate. I'm Mary Kate, and it's lovely to have you here. Today, we're going to take a peek at CFS, or chronic fatigue syndrome. And we're going to lay down a foundation of what people with chronic fatigue syndrome are likely up against. You might already know this information, or you might not. It depends on how much so if you're suffering or if you're living with chronic fatigue syndrome, it depends on how much your care team has explained to you already, or how much reading you've done on your own to learn about the challenges faced by chronic fatigue syndrome. I was diagnosed 14 years ago, and when I was diagnosed, there was not a ton of information out there on the interwebs. And now, especially with the advent of the fatigue element to long COVID, I have been noticing over the last few years a massive ramping up of information available out there about chronic fatigue syndrome. So there's that information as well. So if you're looking for some additional specifics after you hear what you're hearing here, go for it. Definitely inform yourself. But you might also be a person who doesn't have CFS, but you might know someone, you might care for someone who has chronic fatigue syndrome, and you might want to know more about what that experience is like. You're trying to understand more. So today we're just going to hit the highlights because to unpack everything that there is to know about chronic fatigue syndrome, it's a lot. So we are just going to scratch the surface, but in an incredibly meaningful way. We will dig into specific details or particular symptoms as we go along in the video series. So for instance, if you're living with chronic fatigue syndrome and you're having varying symptoms or symptoms that are new to you, and you would like for me to talk about that, if I had experience with those same symptoms, and you'd like to hear another person's experience with it and how I cope with it, that sort of thing, leave me a comment in the comment section and I will definitely get on that. If I've learned anything, it is helpful to have people who can relate to and understand and empathize, and then also give you guiding information forward on how to cope with those symptoms in a more productive and a more healthy way. So if I can do that for you, I would love to be able to do that. We'll dig into details specific to various different symptoms and things more as we go, but we're going to hit some highlights again today, and we're going to focus on 5 main points through the lens specifically of living with chronic fatigue syndrome. I want to go beyond what I consider to be the largely unfeeling descriptions and characterizations that you would find, say, for instance, at MayoClinic.com, at Mayo Clinic or Johns Hopkins, at the websites for these, at the CDC. They do give good information. It's very helpful, in fact, and I rely on that information. But I also know that when you're trying to really understand what chronic fatigue syndrome is really like or all about, having someone objectively state symptomology or to talk about it in such a distanced and non-experienced, meaning not that you don't have medical experience, but experienced as in coping with it. It's just a different ball game when you're living with it. And so I kind of want to go beyond those more sterile characterizations and talk about this from the perspective of actually living with it and what it's like. In this, I sincerely hope to be helpful. And in all honesty, it can be a little bit difficult for me to talk about this because, it's life impacting. So my simple hope, though, is that with what I am able to share with you, what I do share with you, I hope to be helpful. And so with that, we'll kind of dig in. So for me, chronic fatigue syndrome has been and continues to be a life-impacting, limiting, meaning the things I'm able to do, and it's a very serious illness. And for most others, it can be the same type of thing. Chronic fatigue syndrome over time it can increase isolation and other challenges that people living with chronic fatigue syndrome can experience. It's hard to get out and live life and do things and go and be around. For myself, for instance, I've been homebound for a very, very long time. I rarely get out. I have to wait for precious spare moments when I have significant enough energies to be able to do that. So if you are also homebound, then that circumstance alone can help. It doesn't really help, but it increases isolation. So we'll talk about that. But I do want to point out that despite the challenges that come with chronic fatigue syndrome, I personally have found that there is light through the darkness. Mind you, I just want to say, like, if I didn't have to have chronic fatigue syndrome, if I could have figured out how to get this out of my system or to have never have had it, that would have been glorious. But at the same time, having now experienced chronic fatigue syndrome, it has done, I don't know how to really say that, but it's given me an opportunity to do things with my life that I would not have done had I not had chronic fatigue syndrome. So whether you want to look at that as like I found a silver lining, or I just adapted and found a different way to live, and I have built and grown some really beautiful aspects of my life into my life since being diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome. And I'm learning a new language. I became certified as a yoga instructor with the intent to be able to provide a yoga adapted for persons suffering from fatigue encumbered challenges. So I've become a doodle fanatic. I doodle and I create art and I share my love and positivity in a whole brand new way. And although I probably would have doodled, I've been a doodler forever, but having the quote unquote time on my hands when I'm laying around, for instance, on the couch or in bed because I just don't have the energy to really move or motivate, then I doodle a lot and I write myself love notes. And it turns out that is actually really helpful things to share with other people. I've been sharing my love notes with family and friends for quite some time, and they're very pleased with them. I get tremendous positive feedback. So you'll see, we'll be doing that as we go. So anyway, I just wanted to let you know that there is light through this darkness. It's not all hum and glum and blah, but it is life altering. It will impact your life, and so it is serious. And I wanted to give it its grain of seriousness, but at the same time, I want to also just paint that picture that it's not the end. It's there's goodness to still be had. So for me, the hope is real. And as I share, I just want to remind you that there might be times as we move forward that it might really sound quite heavy. Hey, this is a serious illness. It is life impacting and life altering. So rightfully so, it might sound heavy. But just remember the whole time, there is hope. There is hope. And I don't just believe that, I live it, I feel it, I have experienced it, and I want to share that with you. So I want to just throw out there that this is an authentic, real me share that comes with hope and happiness and healthiness. So even though that, as I said, talking about it can be hard and it can sound heavy, just hang in there. We can do this. And you'll see, if you haven't already, as we go along in my videos and through my efforts here at Moaning Zombie, I believe in a can-do, will-do attitude. And so you'll hear that. There's just hope. There's happiness here. So hang in there. Hang in there.